good. Day 2, I show up, and it's four-handed to make the final table, and one of the people at my table is James Woods. So, and he just kicks it off in style. The guy's got style. So there's his hand, and I'm talking with Sam Stein because he's to my left, and we're like just chatting about whatever, right? And James Woods is in this hand with this French guy, and the hand goes like the French guy re-raises in pre-flop. James Woods calls, and the flop is Ace King 4. Ace King 4 or Ace King 2 doesn't really matter. And so the French guy bets on the flop, and I'm just talking with Sam still because like whatever, like this is just a hand going. Who cares? Live poker. And then after like a minute, James Woods turns to me and he goes, "You know, guys, like I would really appreciate it if you could be quiet right now. I have a very important decision to make." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, like what, no problem." And also, by the way, like who that comes from is like very different amongst different people. If it's like a young guy, you're kind of like, all right, whatever, that doesn't really mean shit, right? I mean, it's just some young guy and like he just wants to think or whatever. But when an old guy does that, you're thinking like, this guy has a good hand, right? And maybe right then I should have just known like something was up, but obviously you don't. You're like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, like I didn't mean to be disrespectful, and so like I'm just quiet. And he goes in the tank for another minute, and then he announces raise, and he just like ships out a ton of chips. And the French guy shows him, I think it either says or shows, but jacks. And then James Wood just shows him the pocket threes, and he just came in for the raise, And right then I was like, okay, this guy has some moves. Like this isn't your classic older gentleman playing poker. This guy has moves. Anyway, we get down to heads up, all right? And they have to move our tables to a different section because the current section was going to be used for another tournament where they had more players, and we were going to the smaller section. And of course, they're going to put me and James Woods at the feature table area, right? Because like that's like obviously what anyone that walks by is going to want to come watch. So we slowly start getting this massive crowd, and we're playing for hours. Like every time I almost get him, he doubles up a couple times. I mean, I'm not going to say, like he did play well, but like obviously he won all the all-ins, and so it was like back and forth. I get low, he gets low, and that it's going on for hours, like hours and hours, and we're building up a massive crowd now. Like anyone in like the corner of the Rio is like overstudying this match, and like Poker News is covering it, and it's like it's turning into a really big thing for the fact this is day 2 of a tournament,
Mm-hmm.
And the following hand goes down, and like this hand is just so brutal. But all right, the following hand goes down. So I open with King Queen, and he calls, and the flop is King Queen 10, and he leads full pot. Okay, so I'm like, all right, we finally got him. We got him on the hook here. And set the trap. I call. The turn's a 10. He checks, and I bet fairly small. He goes into the tank and announces a number that isn't enough for a full raise. So it's like in between a call and a raise, and it gets ruled a raise because it was like over the halfway point to becoming a raise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he min raises me, and I call. And the river is a jack, so it's King Queen 10-10 jack. And he jams. And I'm looking at the board, and I'm just like, what? Like, how am I ever good here, right? Like, if he has an ace or 9, I lose. If he has a 10, I lose. And like, I'm like, maybe like jack 6? Maybe. But the thing is, he played so tight pre. That it was just like, and I think if he has an ace or 9, he just always jams the river, right? So I'm just like, oh my god, this is just like a nightmare spot now. And I look at him like, man, if I fold and you show me a bluff, this is just going to be devastating. And I look back at the board, and I'm like, all right, whatever, I fold. And the moment I muck my hands, right, he just stands up and like triumphantly stands up, and I'm like thinking to myself, this is not going to be good. And he stands up and he shows his hand, which is 8-3 off, right? 8-3 off. The following hand was played with 8-3 off. And He triumphantly slams it down on the table. And then he screams, and that's how you win a bracelet! And then, like, does, like, a couple fist pumps. And then he runs around the circle of people, high-fiving each and every fan as they, like, scream, like, James Woods! And everyone's like, yeah! And, like, I'm now down to, like, you know, like, no chips. And, like, he's just, like, you know, giving people high fives along the rail. And I'm just like, oh, my God. And actually, what's funny is after that, I rebounded to almost eliminating him, and then it went on for hours more. Like, I think we played heads up for like 8 or 9 hours. Like, it was like actually insane. By the end of it, we had like 10 big blinds each or something.
Wow.
It was ridiculous. It was
well,
ridiculous.
Now I see why James Woods was nominated for that award for the Lifetime Poker Achievement. That's sick.
Yeah, I mean that hand was great. God, so sick.
Wow. Did they have video of the celebration online somewhere?
I hope. I really hope. It was amazing though.
Wow. I gotta go look for this. Oh, that's one of the I gotta get this guy a podcast now, man. I mean, wow.